with a Reaver can cripple your economy. Now we have the Citadel and the Templar Archives coming out for stats, and Stork getting his Citadel. Now, it seems like stats is emphasizing a bit more on his tech this entire game. Whereas Stork, I think he has a slightly larger army. He also opted not to get an early shuttle, which is somewhat uncharacteristic of him. He's really good with speed shuttles. I don't know whether I like this play by Stork here. But regardless, he is going to be safe from any sort of attack that Stats could potentially launch. Here, Stats looks like he might be trying to set up his third base. If Stork can scout this, he will have a good opportunity to launch an attack. Well, you also need a shuttle, obviously, with Reavers. And this could be Stork's chance to try to do some damage when Stats tries to set up his second expansion. Here we have some more shots of the expansions and probes mining. Not very exciting. Both players sort of marshalling their forces, or actually just Stats marshalling his forces. Stork is content to park his forces on high ground. Now he's moving out. He's got an observer scouting ahead for him. I think that observer might have seen these dragoons coming. Stork needs to be a bit careful and load up those Reavers in the shuttle so that he is ready to use them at a moment's notice. The Nexus coming down here from Stats, so Stork will probably see this with his observer. He's sending it in that direction. He's checking one of the expansions, and surely he will go to 6 o'clock next to see whether there's anything going on there. Once he sees that, he'll probably counterattack. Ooh, 2 High Templar here. Apparently, Stats with an emphasis on his tech, he's going to be slightly behind in troop count. Stork putting down 2 more gateways. Yeah, so this is Stork's chance. If he can break Stats here, he will pretty much win the game. If Stork cannot break, he may be in danger of getting overwhelmed economically. Yet again, Stats does have the advantage of defending, and Stork opting to get his own Nexus. This is going to be a longer PvP game, it looks like. Here's hoping for some epic storms and perhaps even Arbiter play and clashes of Archon on Zealot, on Dragoon with the Dark Templar and the High Templar, and shuttles with Reavers, storm drops, all that good stuff. Both players thus far content pretty much to sit in their bases and macro up. I'm not sure whether I like that. Stork still emphasizing a bit more economy. There's a Dark Templar out here for Stats, managing to pick off 3 probes. Good job by Stats, doing some damage to Stork. Is not any sort of critical damage. As Stork opted to morph an Archon with his first 2 Templar. I'm not sure whether that's a good idea at all. The storms, frankly, do so much damage, and it doesn't look like Stats is that Zealot heavy, at least at this point. Stork really putting down the gateways. He looks like he's emphasizing a bit more on the Zealots. Whereas looks like Stats still with what seems to be an inferior army here. Stats needs to be careful. He needs to have excellent storms here. And good play with his Reaver, picking off the scout of Storks. That's going to be vital. Denying Stork information on his troop composition, very important. Stork marshalling his forces in the middle of the map. It doesn't look like he's going for an attack just yet. Maybe he's waiting on reinforcements. There are Zealots coming down, and now Stork looks like he may be attacking. He needs to be a bit careful. Attacking up these high ramps can be dangerous. Stats already with 2 armies in position, defending both ramps, and Stork not choosing to commit to the attack. Stork going to use his shuttle for some sort of sneak attack. Hopefully there are some Reavers or maybe a Dark Templar or perhaps even High Templar in there. He's coming to Stats' main. Stats has 2 Dragoons there. Gonna ward Stork off for now. Both players playing extremely cautiously. Stats looks like he's moving out. He's abandoned high ground. Just looking at the minimap, his blob does not look nearly as impressive as Stork's, and he may very well lose this engagement. Stork looks like he sends his blood. He's coming in for the attack. This is going to be a massive engagement. Pick off the first observer. And now Stork with a few units here, but he looks like he's backing up, or maybe he's trying to angle for a better position. Now he's choosing to come in with all his forces. He outnumbers Stats significantly. Storms going off all over these Dragoons and Zealots. Absolutely critical storms, massive damage, but it still doesn't look like Stats just has enough units to deal with this. Even more great storms. Epic storms. One of the Reavers, I think, got picked off. Both Reavers of Stork's getting picked off. That's critical without those Reavers, and more storms coming out for Stats. Stats is Tech beating the superior forces of Stork. This is truly epic battle there, and critically for stats, he preserved his shuttle and one Reaver. He now has some reinforcements out. He's going on the counter-offensive, it looks like. I'm not sure whether he's going to be able to really break. Stork has his third base up, and Stork will defend the high ground. And it is very difficult considering that Stats has a very Dragoon-heavy army. Stats, be careful there with his Reaver. This is what I mean. I felt if Stork, for instance, had 3 or 4 storms there, he probably would have won. I don't think he should have morphed those Archons like that. More storms coming down for Stats. Stork not storming at all this game. I do not know why he's not doing that. He used to have great storms. And look at this. That Reaver in the middle of those Dragoons, untouchable, essentially, by these forces of Storks, but Stork with so many units, but reinforcement zone is coming in for Stats, and Stork is in serious trouble. Stats wiping out Stork's army, and Stats is going to win the Ace Match and taking out Stork 2-0. Absolutely great play from Stats, showing that he is truly a force to be reckoned with here. That Reaver in the shuttle, 14 kills on that Reaver, absolutely sick there. There's no chance that Stork could save his base at the 2 o'clock position. Unfortunately, Stork Reaver out again now, but no shuttle it looks like. I mean, that Reaver is not going to last very long. Stork streaming Zealots as best he can. He also has on Templar there. I don't think those Templar have Storm even. Reaver shot taking out Templar. That's just sad. These Dragoons able to micro against the Zealots. Now a Storm coming out for Stork. Unfortunately, that's too little too late. Stork, even if he's by some miracle holds this off, he's going to be screwed economically. The Storm killing the Reavers, that's the main difference here. Stats using his Storms absolutely brilliantly to kill off Reavers. His Stats already has another base and a massive stream of Zealot reinforcements. This is the end for Stork. He's fighting as best he can. This is the Ace Match, of course, but he cannot hold out for too much longer. GG coming from Stork. Stork choosing to emphasize the army, and if he had a few storms, I felt the game could have turned out very differently. Unfortunate there for Stork. Great job by Stats. KT Rolster takes it. Takes the series. Thank you for watching.
그렇습니다. 정말 이영호 선수가 패배하면서 모든 팀원들이 오늘 좀 힘들 수도 있다는 생각을 했었을 텐데 뒤이은 그 나머지 선수들의 그런 활약으로 결국은 승리를 따내는 이런 모습 정말 KT 로스터 오늘 경기 단순한 1승이 아닙니다.
자, 이영호 선수 패배 이후 김대현, 박지영, 김성대 선수의 움직임이 결과적으로 경기가 마무리됐고 송병구 선수는 원차는 지크스를 손에 넣게 됐습니다.
그렇죠. 5라운드에 이어서 하루에 2패. 그냥 프로리그 그 1경기에서 6경기 사이에 한번 패하고 나서 애기어 나와서 또 패배. 이게 3번 연속으로 나왔어요. 정말 성명구답지 못한 그런 모습을 세 번째로 보여주고 있습니다.
자, 화면에 KT 롤스터